Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you're all doing well. Today marks the first episode of C.S.O, Complete Server Overview. This was something I hinted at after announcing the end of my Complete Client Overview series. I had a lot of positive comments asking me for this series, and now it is finally here. So for anyone that is confused, this series is going to be a set of review videos for different Anarchy servers. I am going to start with oldfrog.org, as I have had many people asking me about this server and asking me to mention it in a video in hopes of bringing new players to it. If you do enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments down below, and if you guys like this content, I'll make more of it in the future. If enough of you enjoy it, I will also set up a page on my website where all of you can vote for the next server to be reviewed. Oh, and if you have any server suggestions, leave them in the comments down below and I'll consider adding them to the vote. But before we get into the video, I have to give a huge shout out to the legends that are my YouTube members. They help me make better videos more often, so consider looking at the benefits down below. Anyways, that is more than enough rambling, let's get into the video. Okay, so to start off with, let's take a look at some of the stats behind oldfrog.org. The current map was started on June 24th, 2019 by John 200410, the same person who owns and runs the popular Russia hack client. At the time of writing this script, the map size is 6.2 terabytes in size and the server has seen 119,624 unique players since opening. This is very impressive for a 2B2T alternative. The next thing I want to look at is the Playerbase or community of oldfrog.org. This, in my opinion, is one of the most important parts of a good server. If there is no Playerbase or community, you might as well play on a single player world. Oldfrog has a decent player base. I estimate it to be somewhere between 20 and 80 active players. The server also has an active Discord server with nearly 2,700 people in it. Oldfrog also has an active wiki with a server timeline, which is cool to see. Here we can see that there were a few active groups on the server, but after asking some of the Oldfrog players if there were any active groups on the server, I was told that most of the groups had died out or left the server. Although I was also told that the server still has a very active map making community and that some of their groups are still active. While I was exploring Spawn, I did find some signs of what I assume were group projects, like this giant submerged structure made out of obsidian. Like previously mentioned, the server was started in 2019, but unlike some other Anarchy alternatives, oldfrog.org has some pretty interesting history. A few days after the server launched, popular 2B2T YouTuber Baron Dome did a live stream on the server. This immediately boosted the server's player base from between 5 and 20 players to anywhere between 20 and 100 players. Soon after this, CellC1 would make a video on the server, once again boosting its player base. Later on in the server's history, 27 different players would spend 10 months collaborating on a giant map art. The map art was 30 maps long and 11 maps tall, making it the largest map art ever built in survival Minecraft. I believe this has since been beaten by a YouTuber known as Garden of Eden, who has created a 28 by 28 map art in survival. I may be wrong about this though, so don't quote me on it. As well as an interesting history, the server also has an exciting future. I spoke to John and asked him if and when he planned to update oldfrog.org to a newer version of Minecraft, and I was told that the server will update whenever 2b2t.org updates, which will hopefully be pretty soon. Before we take a look at Oldfrog's anti-cheat, I would like to take a quick break and remind you all to like or dislike the video and maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. Anyways, that is enough self-promotion, let's get into the next part of this video. The next thing I wanted to look at was Oldfrog's anti-cheat. Some Anarchy servers have bad or no plugins and as a result are unstable or crash a lot, while others have too many anti-cheat plugins that make the game practically unplayable. From my limited time on the server, I was honestly pleasantly surprised at the server's anti-cheat. It was not too strict as to make it unplayable, but it was also strong enough not to make the server too laggy. I noticed that entity speed works decently well with boats, which is nice for traveling on the highways. I was also given an elytra and a config for the future client that allows you to fly around fairly quickly without the elytra taking any damage. Overall, the anti-cheat felt surprisingly balanced and very playable. When I first logged into Old Frog, I was surprised at the extent to the griefing of spawn. I managed to get into the nether and used a boat to travel over 20,000 blocks out of spawn. I then found a farm with some food, did some more exploring and came back to spawn. In the few hours between traveling out and then back to spawn, I noticed that there were some changes on the highway, which indicates a decent level of activity from other players. I then walked around spawn a bit, found some evidence of grief spawn bases before a player kindly gave me some armor and an elytra. I was then given coordinates to a few old bases and places where events had taken place. I also visited the end to look at a giant obsidian structure at spawn. Overall, I think Old Frog may be the best alternative to 2B2T, at least out of the servers I have tried. There is somewhat of an active community, the economy isn't ruined by dupes and you can't get stacked within 5 minutes of joining. There is a decent history to the server, and lastly, the anti-cheat is for the most part well balanced, making the server more playable. In my opinion, 2B2T can't be beaten, but oldfrog.org has been a pleasant surprise and I think it's a decent alternative, or at least a fun place to explore while waiting in queue for 2B2T. Thank you so much for watching to the end of my video. I really appreciate your time. Seeing as you are still here, I assume you enjoyed the video, so please consider leaving a like and maybe even consider subscribing. Don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts on this series. Should I make more, or was this one episode enough? If you would like to see more of this, post server suggestions in the comments down below. I've also recently made a KiLAB Gaming memberships area on my channel, so be sure to check out the benefits with the join button. Quick shout out to my members for all of their support, they help me make higher quality content more often. Anyways, it has been your boy KiLAB, peace in the Middle East.